So in this inflation, we are going to discuss the definitions of the inflation, classification of inflation, what are the types, okay, and how the interest rate or rate of prices generally, okay, general prices, okay, increasing. It is nothing but inflation we are going to discuss, and money supply, how to control this inflation we are going to discuss, and also what are the indicators particularly to measure the inflation we are going to discuss. What are the effects? This is very important. If the prices increases, that we call it as general price, particularly we call it as inflation. And what will happen if the prices, general prices rises, that we are going to discuss, okay. And types of inflation, effects of inflation, what are the causes, particularly Indian case, okay, we are going to discuss. And some important concepts are there related to the inflation. So this is very important topic. Generally, when we are talking about the definition of inflation, inflation is nothing but ద్రవ్యోల్బణం అంటాం తెలుగులో, okay. So according to Keynes, inflation as a results the excess of aggregate demand over the availability of the supply. What does it mean? Inflation ఉన్నటువంటి సందర్భంలో prices are increasing, particularly the prices are related to goods, okay. So the prices are increasing, excess demand, more demand will be there, okay. Then when there is a demand, automatically prices also goes up, okay. But the supply of the goods are very limited, shortage, okay. So due to that, there is a general increasing the prices according to Keynes. According to Paul Samuelson, the definition of the inflation, generally this inflation occurs when
Sir,
the
please. Questions, no,
Yes.
sir. Important questions, no, sir.
ఇంపార్టెంట్ క్వశ్చన్స్ లాస్ట్ 10 minutes బిఫోర్ ఇస్తా. ఇప్పుడైతే మనం
Okay.
క్లాస్ ఇందాము, ఓకేనా?
Okay.
Right, fine. So generally we are talking about inflation according to Paul Samuelson. It is occurred the general level of prices and cost is rising. It is nothing but inflation, okay. Here we are talking about inflation is nothing but increasing the general prices, okay, over a period of time. If ఒకటే రోజు సడన్ గా ధరలు పెరిగినాయి అంటే దట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఇన్ఫ్లేషన్. Keep on increasing the prices, that is we call it as inflation. Simply we can say that, okay. According to Crowther also defined one definition, inflation is a state in which the value of money falls. Value of money falls. Why is telling like this? The definition means whenever there is a increasing the price of product, okay, that means we have to pay more money compared to earlier. So the value of rupee or whatever it may be, okay, comes to decline. That is also we call it as inflation, okay. So when we are talking about the inflation, types of inflation, there are around 5 types. We can say that walking inflation or creeping inflation. Creeping means slowly it is moving, okay. So when the prices are slowly rising, it is referred as the creeping inflation, okay. Generally this creeping inflation, we can say that at least 1 to 3% of rising, okay. Creeping inflation up to 3% only the prices are rising, that we call it as creeping inflation. Not that much of impact on the economy. Okay, when there is a creeping inflation. And walking inflation, another one is walking inflation, which means the price level more than 3%. Okay, if it is 3%, we called as creeping inflation. If it is more than 3%, we call it as walking inflation. Okay, more than 3% and less than 10%. Okay, 3 కంటే ఎక్కువ 10 కంటే తక్కువ ఉన్నటువంటి దానిని వాకింగ్ ఇన్ఫ్లేషన్ అంటాం. సో దిస్ వాకింగ్ ఇన్ఫ్లేషన్ గివ్స్ ఏ కాజన్, okay, for the a signal for the occurrence of the running inflation. First we said creeping inflation, like తాంబేలు లాగా నత్త నడకన ప్రైసెస్ స్లోగా పెరుగుతూ ఉంటాయి అప్ టు 3% వరకు. ఓకే, ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ వాకింగ్ కొంచెం దానికంటే బెటర్.
तो कौन सा सब्जेक्ट है ये?
मैक्रो एकोनॉमिक्स.
यस, कौन सा चैप्टर है?
मैक्रो
चैप्टर कौन से ब्लॉक का है?
या फिफ्थ वन.
5th ब्लॉक.
या
ओके.
inflation, you are not.
Yes. 190
inflation
पेज नंबर.
inflation.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah, you right. So we're talking about classification of inflation and types of inflation. Okay, first one is creeping inflation, next one is walking inflation. Okay, so the walking inflation up to 3 to below 10%, we call it as walking inflation. It is a caution, okay, for the running inflation, we can say that. So here another type of inflation is running inflation. Running, as we know that it is like going speedily, rapidly. Okay, so we can say that rapid acceleration. రేస్ ఇస్తే ఎట్లా రేస్ ఇచ్చినప్పుడు బండి స్పీడ్గా ఉరుకుతుంది కదా, at the same time this when we are talking about running inflation, it is also moving speed. Okay, so prices are very increasing, we call it as that is running inflation. It occurs particularly when the prices are rise more than 10%. Okay, more than 10%, that we call it as running inflation. First one creeping, second one is walking, third one is running inflation. First one is up to 3 to 10, below 10 that is walking, and above 10 that is running inflation, that you have to remember. And galloping inflation. Galloping inflation, we can say that it is hyperinflation or high inflation. Okay, that around 3-digit of inflation. Running inflation around 2 digits, but galloping inflation 3 digits, that is increasing like anything. So this is regarding the galloping inflation. Another important type of inflation is hyperinflation. Okay, according to Kagan, the rising of the inflation up to 50%. Okay, that we can say that the prices, general prices are increasing and up to the mark, that is up to 15%. We can say that that is hyperinflation. Okay, so that is actually this running inflation, galloping inflation and hyperinflation. If it is there in the economy, that is bad for the economy. Okay, because purchasing power will be loose, people will not purchase anything because high level of prices are increasing. There is a huge demand but supply is not there. So that is another case, due to increasing the prices, and value of the money also comes down. Okay, when there is a inflation, so that is adversely affecting the economy, that you have to remember. Okay, so there are factors that influence money supply and demand for goods, particularly goods and services. Basically, when the excessive inflation, okay, excessive inflation, that means what? There is a price due to excess money supply, okay, excess money supply in relation to the goods and services, okay, that is excessive inflation, we can say that, okay. And cost inflation, cost also one of the reason for inflation, okay. Excessive inflation, that is excess money supply. If more money circulating in the economy, okay, that means everybody is having money, then who is going to be work, who is going to be produce goods and services, right? Everybody, they don't want to work because they are having money, right? So excess supply of money also one of the reason for the increasing the inflation, that is important. Cost also influencing the inflation, okay. Cost, when we are talking about due to, okay, increasing the prices of the production, factors of the production, land, labor, capital, okay, if their prices increases, then automatically that product price also increase, okay. The producer is giving more money to the labor and paying rent to the land, okay, then automatically what he is producing for that product, automatically he increases the price, right? So cost of the factors of the production also one of the reason for increasing the inflation, that you have to remember, okay. Deficit inflation, deficit, when the government spends too much of money on projects, okay, or social welfare schemes, okay, that also causes deficit inflation. So generally, government spend some amount of money for the benefit of the people, okay. Or we can say that social welfare schemes, if they are providing, if they are spending, the government is spending, government will not get any return, okay. So even the projects, investing more money on the project, okay. So this situation is cause for the deficit in the balancing budget, okay. So due to that deficit, okay, the balance of payments, okay, that is also one of the reason to increase the prices of the economy. Increase the prices is nothing but inflation, as I said, okay. Increasing the prices is called as inflation. ఒక వర్డ్ మనం యాడ్ చేయాలి. Increasing the general price level in the economy, we call it as inflation. That you have to remember. And export boom inflation, okay, export boom inflation, what does it mean? If when a country is exporting more goods and services, okay, it may experience the increase the demand, okay. If the supply is in the short in the domestic market, the demand for goods and services, okay, so automatically results that it causes for the domestic uh, uh, economy, that leads to increase the inflation. What does it mean? Domestic country is producing more goods, and that goods are exporting to the other country, okay. What about within the country also there is a huge demand, but when they export to the other country, they get more compared to the domestic. But in the within the country, there is a shortage of in the domestic market, right? So due to that shortage, then automatically limited supply is there. When there is a limited supply, there is a huge demand in the within the market, right? So automatically prices are goes up. Due to that, again, that is also one of the reason for increasing the inflation. That is one side. When we're talking about export boom inflation. Import side also, again, imports also one of the reason hike for the inflation. How? If the economy or if any country, understand. Okay, if the economy or any country, okay, importing more goods from the abroad, okay, so what does it mean? Within the country, people are attracted from other countries' products. They are importing more and paying more money to that products. That is fine. What about the domestic country? There, the farms within the domestic farms, they are unable to produce goods because there is no demand for that product, because people are attracted from the other countries' products. They are, that is why importing country importing more goods and services. Okay, again there is a shortage. They are paying huge amount for the imports. So that is also one of the reason to hike the inflation. Okay, so these are the reasons for the inflation. Okay, credit inflation also one of the reason. If it rises due to excess bank credit, excess bank credit is nothing but if the banks are giving more loans to the public, okay, that means directly or indirectly again the money supply, circulating the money supply in the economy is more with the help of the banks. Banks are giving more loans, okay, that means everybody is getting loan, everybody is getting money, right? That is also one of the reason to increase the inflation, because everybody is having money, the circulation of money is more, right? Supply of money in the economy is more. When the supply of money in the economy is more, then that also one of the reason to increase the inflation, that you have to remember. Okay, there are other situations also influence the inflation. Okay, wartime, as we know that when the situation, the prices rising during the war, because this occur due to the expenditure of war. Okay, actually, for example, the government is spending, or farms are government is spending on the public, it may be, or they are spending some amount of money for producing goods and services. If the situation war is going on, okay, this amount for producing goods and services, they are not going to they are not spend that money. That money they spend on the war. Okay, that means here no goods, no services, right? There is a again shortage of the goods in the economy, because that expenditure government is spending more on the war. So due to that, huge demand will be there, but supply is not there. Okay, that is also one of the reason to boost the inflation or increase the inflation in the economy. That you have to remember. Post-war inflation also. Immediately after the completion of that war, okay, the prices rise due to increasing the disposable income of the economy or community. As a result, withdrawal of war taxes are due to repayment of the public debt. Generally, this is very important point. Generally, when the war is going on, okay, prices, as I said, prices are goes up, that is inflation. When the government has to collect some amount of money from the public with the help of the imposing taxes, okay, public has to pay, the whoever getting more income, they have to pay income tax or indirect tax forms. Okay, so government is imposing more tax. Okay, earlier without war, government imposed very nominal tax, very less tax. But when the war situation is going on, government want more money to spend on that war. Okay, military services purpose. Okay, so when the war completed, immediately this rising taxes government will not reduce immediately, because these people are ready to pay that margin. If it is, for example, before war 3% of tax, war is going on, it is 7% of tax, people are paying, okay, 7% also. After war completed, that 7% government will not decrease, because everybody is willing to pay the tax, right? It tries to increase after certain time, 7 to 8 after certain time, but it will not decrease after the 7, below it will not come, because people are accepted, people are ready to bear that tax, okay, they are ready to pay the tax. So this situation also, this post-war situation also, one of the reason for increasing the inflation, okay, that is also one reason. Peacetime inflation, it occurs generally nominal period due to increase the government outlay. Outlay is nothing but expenditure. Okay, government was spending more on capital projects having a long generation period. Generally, that also leads to increase the prices. See, government is spending too much of money on a big project. Okay, from that project, immediately it will not get any benefit, either public or the government. After certain period, that period we are talking about, it is long period. Okay, దీర్ఘకాలం తర్వాత ఎక్కువగా మరి దాని నుంచి లబ్ధి అనేటువంటిది పొందడానికి ఆస్కారం ఉంటుంది. సో పీస్ టైమ్ ఇన్ఫ్లేషన్ ఆల్సో one of the reason for increasing the inflation, that is you have to remember. Okay, and there are measures of inflation is there. How the measures, when we observe, there are two types of measures, particularly consumer price index, as we know that CPI, and wholesale price index. Based on these two, and other product price index also there, and GDP deflator also there. Okay, so different price indices and GDP deflation also there. So CPI, when we are talking about consumer price index, okay, it is generally urban inflation is measured with the help of the CPI. Okay, this measure, it is we can say that average changes in the time of the prices, we call it as consumer price index. What about the wholesale price index? WPI, we say that. Okay, so it is the average change in the prices of the commodities. CPI is related to the average prices of the commodities. Okay, average prices. Okay, when we are talking about WPI, average prices of the commodity, their prices here, commodities. Okay, that the differentiation. So WPI in India is published generally economic advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. They regularly they publish the report about the WPI, wholesale price index. Okay, and also the product price index, PPI, measures average changes in the input and output prices from the domestic product perspective. Okay, and deflator, that is GDP deflator, it measures the price of output related to the price of the base year. Okay, it reflects what happened if the overall prices are increasing in the economy. Okay, so with the help of GDP deflator, it is calculating the goods and services with fixed basket. Okay, that is related to the GDP deflator. types and effects of inflation. There are, according to the Robert J. Gordon, there are mainly three kinds of inflation. That is built inflation, demandful inflation, and cost push inflation. Okay. So demand, the word itself it is showing due to demand, there is a inflation. Cost push, due to cost, there is a inflation. Okay, that you have to remember. So here demandful, according to the many economists, we are talking about demandful inflation. Okay, inflation take place because of the greater demand shocks in the economy. Okay, huge demand is there. Okay, the demand for goods and services increases rapidly because of social and political, economic and financial pressures or whatever it may be. Then the prices of the goods and services automatically increase rapidly. Okay, so due to that, we call it as demandful inflation. As a result, we call it as demandful inflation. So another one, that is cost push inflation, supply shocks or inflation. Cost push, due to the we can say that there are shocks will be there, and the economy, there is a supply decreases. Okay, and the cost of that products is increases. Okay, due to that, there is a again inflation, we can say that. Okay, so another one is built in inflation or anticipated inflation. Anticipated ఒకదానికి ఒకటి దగ్గర సంబంధం ఉంది అని చెప్పవచ్చు. సో ఇక్కడ when we observe it, built inflation or anticipated inflation, it reflects as inflation. It involves particularly workers trying to keep their wage up with the prices, and then employees are passing a higher cost on their consumer higher pass of the vicious circle. When we talk about this anticipated, the worker, those who are working to produce the goods, okay, they are trying to increase their wages or salaries. Okay, if the entrepreneur is giving more wages to the laborers, means at the same time he increases the cost of that product. Okay, due to increasing the labor wages, okay, then immediately he increases his prices of his product. We call it as anticipated. Due to that reason, he increases the, due to that reason means due to increase the prices of the wages, prices of the wages of the laborers. Okay, due to that, then again this entrepreneur or firms tries to increase the prices of that particular product. Okay, that is why there is a anticipated inflation is there. So what are the effects when we observe? Okay, it due to inflation, there are various effects are there. Particularly, it affect on the society in different ways. Okay, it affect the society in, it is nothing but public. Okay, it affect due to increase the inflation, that inflation affect the society in various situations. Okay, so when we observe that effect on producers, okay, effects on producers, when we are talking about due to inflation, that inflation affects on the producers, how it is a little hike in the price level or assets, that optimistic aptitude along with the producers, that increasing the profitability, that you have to remember. Okay, because inflation take place from this situation, we call it as hyper situation. Okay, hyperinflation is going on. So that also, when there is a hyperinflation, that is affecting on the producers, right? So it is impacting or influencing the producers, that you have to remember. And also debitors and creditors. Debitors and creditors. The debitors, usually they borrow money from the creditors, okay, during the certain period, whatever the period. Whoever asking the money, they are debitors. Whoever giving the money, they are creditors, okay. So due to increase in the inflation situation, they pay lesser amount in real terms to the creditors, okay. That is why that is also impacting on the debitors and the creditors. What does it mean? Okay, if there is a situation, inflation situation, okay, that time debitors have to pay more money because value of money comes down. Okay, he has to pay more money to the creditor. At the same time, the creditor also suffers a loss, and debitors sometimes they gain, because if the inflation take place during the repayment of loans, okay, this creditor is repaying the loans, okay, that time he has to pay more money to repay that loans, okay. That is adversely affecting on the debitors and creditors. This inflation, not only the producers, not only the debitors and creditors, but also it influences the farmers, okay. It also influences the farmers. Generally, uh, farmers are profitable during the inflation, okay. They receive higher sales of revenue due to increase the price. As we know that farmers, it is positive, okay, because inflation, as I said, increasing the general prices of the product, okay, food grains or whatever it may be, products, goods and services, okay. So here farmers are producing goods in the sense food grains, whatever it may be, they are producing. It may be vegetables, it may be food grains, it may be pulses, okay. So that prices also increase. That means their farmers are getting more money due to increase in the general price level. But the cost of the production, okay, remaining constant, or they may not be increased, okay. The farmers also look to the debitors and government as a creditor. When the inflation take place, they pay less to the government and land revenue. That also the farmers gain during the inflationary situations. As I said, inflation time, debitors are the farmers, creditors are the government, okay. So this situation, government will going to be loose, and the benefit is farmers side. That is how to remember. It also impact on middle class and salaries persons, government also, wage earners. That also might influence the inflation. Okay, when we are talking about the control, that is fine. We so far discussed the definition, causes, and effects also. Okay, we discussed. And how to measure, how to control, okay, what are the initiatives we have to follow, that is important. So that we call it as measures to control the inflation, okay. So here there are different operations are there. Well, the operations means different policies are there, okay, to control the inflation. One of the important policy is monetary policy or monetary measures, okay. So reducing the money supply automatically reduce the demand for the goods. Okay, reducing money supply means the circulation of money government controls. Okay, so automatically the circulation of money in the public very less. Due to that, there is very demand also very less. That means demand falls. Okay, so through this monetary measures, government will measure this monetary policy through the bank rate and open market operations, variable ratio. Okay, through this it operates. So one is bank rate. So generally, bank rate is nothing but, as we know, that it is the interest rate, right? It is the interest rate. What will happen if the bank rate, okay, interest rate changed by the central bank and the loans taken by the commercial banks? At the same time, the inflation is going on. It's rise the bank rate ultimately that leads to increase the commercial banks as a loan for the businessman. What does it mean? Commercial banks takes loans from the central bank. Okay, if they are taking loans, central government increase the interest rate. Okay, that means these commercial banks has to pay more money to the central government. These commercial banks again giving to the loans to the businessman. Here also it is imposing more interest rate. Okay, that means it is collecting high rate of interest from the businessman or public. Okay, so bank rate also influencing, we can say that. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Network పోయినట్టుంది. So right. So here through the bank rate also it controls the money supply. Okay, then automatically it controls the inflation. Open market operations. This means central bank purchasing and selling the bonds openly. Okay, at this time, when there is a inflation in the economy, central banks prefer to sell their bonds. So the excess money available in the publics that goes to the central bank. Banks are selling the bonds. Okay, public are ready to purchase that. Then automatically from the public, that money which is circulating in the money, central bank is going to take and selling the bonds. That so excess money that availability in the public goes to the central bank. As a result, money circulation in the automatically very less. So demand also comes down, prices also comes down. This is also one of the mechanism, we can say that. And demonetization also one of the controllable of inflation. Okay, demonetization, a currency of higher demonetization. Okay, The measures usually we adapted the abundance of black money to control the what we can say black money, okay, in the country. But when we are talking about this situation, when there is a inflation in the country, the government to control inflation with the help of the demonetization. Okay, that is also one of the factor to control the inflation. These are the monetary policies. What about the physical policies? Okay, physical policies, the government, it is physical is related to the government expenditure and government taxes. You have to remember, okay? Government expenditure and taxes. So generally, government impose taxes, public expenditure also deduct, okay? And domestic personal consumption also automatically, and it tries to increase the promoting the savings. Okay, so taxes, personal income tax or estate tax, gift tax, which are direct by the what we can say that by the nature we can reduce the disposable income. Okay, disposable income. What does it mean? We can reduce disposable income. If a person is getting money or salary, from that salary, government impose some tax, maybe the direct tax. Okay, after deducting the tax, what he get, that actual income, okay, that we call it as disposable income. Actual income is nothing but disposable income after paying all the taxes. Okay, that is disposable income. From this disposable income, he may spend that amount or some portion of money he may save, right? So that is disposable income. So through the taxes also and reduction in the public expenditure, okay, causes and a reflected flow of income to the public at the low level of income and a demand for goods that is low, and prices may continue to fall. Okay, when the government is spending only a particular developmental purpose, it may be social benefits or for the projects purpose, okay, it is reducing that flow of money. It is the spending of money is very less. But due to that also we can control through the physical policy measures. The domestic personal consumption also, it can cut down the improving the heavy indirect taxes. Okay, when the government is imposing direct taxes as well as indirect taxes, okay, more, okay, directly or indirectly we are paying more money to the government because it is imposing high tax. Okay, so when there is a high tax, directly or indirectly again we are going to lose our purchasing power. Okay, that you have to remember. So automatically that is controlling the demand for that particular product. If you are having, you can purchase. You are not having money means there is demand also comes down, right? So that is one of the reason. And promoting the savings. Okay, generally public saving in the public may be prompted by when the government has to collect the money, or it is what we can say that government has to get back money from the public. So when the interest rate increases, particularly bank interest rate, okay, people will think that if I save in the bank, I will get more return. Interest rate ఎక్కువ ఉంది కాబట్టి ఎక్కువ సేవింగ్ చేసుకోవడానికి ఇష్టపడతారు, రైట్? So again, directly from the circulation of the money from the public, it is controlling through the savings. When savings are more, again circulation of money in the economy is very less. Okay, so demand for the goods is very less. Okay, then automatically if there is no demand, prices comes down. Through this also, through the savings also, we can control the inflation. That is, you have to remember. Okay, so along with this inflation, monetary measures, types of inflation, concepts. Okay, there are another important concepts: inflationary gap and Phillips curve. Okay, inflationary gap. This is an important concept which explained by Keynes. Okay, how to pay for the war with the 1940. Okay, Keynes clearly explained the definition of this inflationary gap. Okay, excess of public expenditure over the availability of the output at a pre-inflation or base prices. Okay, excess expenditure, the government is spending too much of money. Okay, so when we observe this, too much of money is government is spending, that means the greater the aggregate expenditure, okay, larger the gap between the products and the expenditure. Okay, so due to that rise in the or increase in the public expenditure, automatically inflation also rises. Okay, another one is Phillips curve. Phillips curve is related to, it explains the unemployment rate and money wage rate. Unemployment and wage rate. Phillips, W.A. Phillips explained this based on the empirical data. Empirical means he has collected some information based on the values. Okay, unemployment values or unemployment data and wages data, wage rates data. So he calculated what type of relationship it is there between these two. So when the demand for labor is high, okay, demand for labor is high, there are very few unemployed in the employer that may be prefer to pay higher wage rates. If they want to use unemployed or employees, okay, huge demand is there, automatically he bring the laborers because it is required. That time he reduces the prices or wages for the employees. So when the wages increases, okay, unemployment increase. When the unemployment rate decreases, unemployment rate decrease means providing employment. Okay, employment is providing to everyone. He reduces the wages little bit. Okay, so unemployment and wages increase the money wage rate. Okay, so that you have to remember, when the unemployment rate is low, okay, unemployment rate is low, the rate, the money, or we can say that money wage rate is very high. That you have to remember regarding to Phillips curve. Okay, the deflation and inflation also there, inflationary tax. These are the, we are talking about the inflation. Another important topic, that is trade cycles. Without this question, there is no question paper. Trade cycle, phases of trade cycles. This is very important. Okay, the word itself, cycle, trade cycles, the fluctuations. Generally, countries' economic activities. Okay, when we observe, sometimes optimistic changes and sometimes pessimistic changes may take place. That means up and down. అలలు వస్తూ ఉంటాయి కదా, పైకి కిందికి లాగా. ఓకే, సో ఈ విధంగా రావడం. ఓకే, సో దిస్ సిచ్యువేషన్ is related to the economy. Okay, so generally optimistic and pessimistic changes in the economy we call it as trade cycle. Okay, we call it as trade cycles. Simply, we can define the trade cycle different economists in different ways. Trade cycles are regular fluctuations in the income, output, and employment. Simple. According to Gordon. Trade cycles are a continuous or a regular fluctuations in their income of the public, income of the economy, okay, and the output of the economy. Okay, this is a macro economics subject. So we also have to think macro level, not narrow. Micro level we should not. So whenever we are talking about employment, general employment means whole economy's employment we are considering. Output of the economy, income of the country. So income there is a fluctuations, output there is a fluctuations up and downs, and employment also there is a up and down. That is called as simply trade cycles. Okay. So what are the characteristics or features of these trade cycles when we observe? Okay, trade cycles are related to the entire economic system, as I said. It is not a particular reason, not a particular place. Okay, we are considering as a whole economy. Okay, it related to entire economic system. It means the fluctuations in the economic activities are very limited and a particular sector. It is not a particular sector or not limited. Okay, so there are spread over the all the sectors in the economy. When we are talking about trade cycle, it is not a particular one sector. We are considering all the sectors, how it is affecting. Okay, and also changes in the production, income, and employment, and general price level. That is also one of the feature of this trade cycle. Okay, this trade cycles again economic system that fluctuations between economic property and depression, prosperity and depression, prosperity boom, depression, depreciation. Okay, or depression. Okay, so it studies about that, and also the trade cycles can spread from the economic system of the country to a particular one region, one country to the system of another country. It is going to study. The fluctuations, particularly business, are very limited over a period of time. Okay, these trade cycles are cumulative. Economic prosperity, it starts and it develops speedily without any what we can say any policy makers. Okay, so these trade cycles are not same one and the other side. That means if it is boom, the other side it is depression. Okay, like waves. We are talking about trade cycles. So changes in the prices of agricultural prices more than the changes of the industrial prices or products that we are going to discuss. This is all about the futures of the trade cycle. Okay, and the pages, there are around 4 pages are there. That is very important. Pages of trade cycle. Without this question, no question paper, as I said. Okay, there are 4 pages. First one is depression or economic depression or slump. Okay, at this stage, any economy in the world, it is very dangerous situation, dangerous stage, this depression. Okay, because at this situation time, economic activities are very low level of the in this stage. Low level in the sense what? It is the economic situations are below the level. The time means this depression time, production employment is very low. Generally, when we think in the economy, production has to play major role, employment also playing very major role. If these two are very low, then the prices and wages automatically comes down, right? So the prices are very less than the wage rates. This situation, particularly the depression time. So in this situation, bank credits also very low. Bank and they control the customers, particularly it may be producers or the employees, whoever. Okay. In this depression time, unemployment rate will increase. Consequently, increases in this depression time. Okay. Overall, when we observe the economic depression, it is a bad for the economy of any country. Recovery. This stage will come from the soon after the depression. Depression to started for the recovery. Okay, like slowly boom. Okay, so this we call it as depression in the cycles. This stage, economic activities are slowly improved. Okay, and all the economic activities are increased systematically in this recovery time. Okay, the situation is not bad when the recovery situation not bad compared to the depression. Okay, production and employment levels are slowly increasing, that you have to remember. In depression, these two are very low. When we are talking about recovery, production and employment slowly pick up, slowly increasing. Okay, increasing the unemployment in the depression, as I said, but slowly in the recovery time, slowly it comes down, it decreases. That means employment opportunities are coming when we are talking about the recovery. Okay, wages also slowly goes up. Earlier in the depression time, wages comes down, prices comes down, but here employment increasing, production increasing slowly, wages are increasing. Okay, so this is all about the recovery. Prosperity or boom. Prosperity or boom. So boom. భూమి వచ్చింది అంటాం, అంటే ఆ సిచ్యువేషన్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఎక్కువ యాక్టివిటీస్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ద ఎకానమీ started recovery of all the issues. So in this situation, the maximum point in this stage, so all the factors of production is fully utilized. In this prosperity, in this boom situation, full employment will be there, no unemployed. Due to increasing the interest rates, financial institutions also create credit. Okay, so this is all about the boom. And also now the last one is the recession. This happens all the sectors of the people during the prosperity of the stage. It cannot stay at a longer period again. Okay, as the result, what will happen again? They have to sell the goods at a low prices and profits also comes down. Then automatically again one of the reason for the depression. Okay, this is all about the phases of trade cycles. So overall, I can tell you some important questions. As I said, trade cycles from first lesson to I'll tell you. Nature and scope of macroeconomics, that is important. Okay, methods of measuring national income, that is another topic. From the block 2 are theories of income and employment. Keynesian theory of income and employment, very very important for essay. Keynesian theory of income and employment. Okay, determinants of consumption, that is for short, determinants of consumption. Determinants of investment, I don't know whether you are writing or not, I'm little bit speed. Determinants of investment, Okay, multiplier and accelerator for short. Okay, neoclassical theory
సార్
of-
తెలుగు చెప్పరా కొంచెం
అమ్మా
కొంచెం తెలుగులో చెప్పరా
right, Keynesian theory of income and employment. Circular flow of income. రాసుకోండి, సర్క్యులర్ ఫ్లో ఆఫ్ ఇన్కమ్ బ్రాకెట్ లో 4 సెక్టార్ మోడల్. 4 సెక్టార్ మోడల్ మనకి ఇక్కడ 2 సెక్టార్ మోడల్, 3 సెక్టార్ మోడల్, 4 సెక్టార్ మోడల్ ఉంటుంది. తర్వాత నా జరుగుతుంది గో గో. సో household and farms are 2 sector model. Government and foreign, if we add government, that is 3 sector model. If we are adding additional one, that is foreign sector, that is 4 sector model. Okay, ఇందులో ఏదైనా క్వశ్చన్ రావడానికి స్కోప్ ఉంది. అంటే 2 సెక్టార్ అని అడుగుతాడు, 3 సెక్టార్స్ అన్నా 4 అన్నా. 4 చదువుకుంటే ఏది వచ్చినా మనం రాయొచ్చు. దానికోసం చెప్పిన 4 సెక్టార్ మోడల్, దట్ ఈస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఇంకా చూస్తున్నా టాపిక్స్. సేస్లా, జేబీ సేస్లా, సేస్ మార్కెట్ లా అంటాము. జేబీసీ లా అని కూడా అడుగుతారు. సేస్లా effective demand. Determinants of consumption. Keynes consumption, law of consumption. Keynes law of consumption. ఇక్కడ types of investment, determinants of investment. మల్టిప్లేయర్ ఆల్రెడీ చెప్పేసిన, మల్టిప్లేయర్. Keynes liquidity preference theory of interest. Keynes liquidity preference theory of interest. Functions of money. Functions of money. Measures of money supply in India. Measures of money supply in India. Fisher's quantity theory of money. Fisher's quantity theory of money. Cambridge cash balance approach. Cambridge cash balance approach. Functions of central bank. Inflation కి సంబంధించి types of inflation, causes of inflation, effects of inflation ఈరోజు డిస్కస్ చేసినాం. Effects of inflation, measures to control inflation. ఎందుకంటే ఇందులో ఏ క్వశ్చన్ వచ్చినా కూడా ఇవి చదువుకుంటే ఏదైనా రావచ్చు. మెజర్స్ టు కంట్రోల్ ఇన్ఫ్లేషన్. ఖచ్చితంగా ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పిన 4 పాయింట్స్ లో ఒకటి షార్ట్కి వస్తుంది, ఒకటి ఎస్ఏకి వస్తుంది, ఏదైనా రావచ్చు. కాబట్టి ఇది కవర్ చేస్తే అక్కడ ఒక క్వశ్చన్ ఇక్కడ ఒక క్వశ్చన్ ఫుల్ అయిపోతుంది. పేజెస్ ఆఫ్ ట్రేడ్ సైకిల్ అని చెప్పినా కదా, ఇంతకుముందు మనం డిస్కస్ చేసినాము, అది ఎస్ఏకి వస్తుంది. పేజెస్ ఆఫ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రేడ్ సైకిల్, అది కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఓకే, ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ఆర్ ఫీచర్స్, లక్షణాలు, ఫీచర్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రేడ్ సైకిల్. ట్రేడ్ సైకిల్స్ లో 2 క్వశ్చన్స్ చదువుకోండి. పేజెస్ ఆఫ్ ట్రేడ్ సైకిల్ ఒకటి, ఫీచర్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రేడ్ సైకిల్. ఓకే, ఐఎమ్ గోయింగ్ టు క్లోజ్. ఇస్ ఇట్ క్లియర్?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
నెక్స్ట్
much.
క్లాస్ ఉందా మనకు? దీంతో లాస్ట్